Let's take a look at Patcham. Patcham is a small town just north of Brighton, nestling on the southern slopes of the South Downs and bordered on the north side by the A27, which runs east-west across this part of Sussex. We're interested in a piece of land that's about 2.5 kilometres wide and about 1.5 kilometres from north to south. And the story starts in July 1991, when a formation appeared over 3 separate nights in a field just north of the A27 near a caravan site. 2 ringed circles and what became known as the Sussex dumbbell appeared. A month later, in a field just the other side of the hill, another dumbbell appeared, very similar to the first one. The following year, the first field was revisited, and had the formation from the previous year still been there, the 92 formation would have appeared within the middle of it, and again it's another dumbbell. But of course that's not the view that we got. The view that we would have had would have been from the side of the hills, looking across a small valley, and we would have seen the formations like that. The same year, June in 1992, 4 days later, another formation appeared back in the same field as the formation from the previous year, this time slightly more complicated, as 3 circles joined together, very reminiscent of the roadworks which were currently underway on the A27. So that by the end of 1992, we'd had 4 formations in 2 different fields. 2 years later, in 1994, a single circle appeared at the top of Tegdown Hill. Now, Tegdown Hill is the highest point just in this small area, and it's here. There's a good old Sussex dew pond on the top of the hill, and a ploughed out tumulus next to that. And whilst talking to the farmer about the formations in this area, he told us that actually there was another single circle at the top of the hill in the corner of the field, as possibly as far back as 1970. Nothing happened in this area then for another 6 years, but in August 2000, a rather nice formation appeared in this field as a series of 21 circles back to back, as we can see, forming this very nice double arc like 4 arms, almost in the very center of the field. The following year, further up the road, a formation appeared nestling now in the hills of the South Downs. Very nice formation with an interesting pathway across the middle of it, which was actually part of the formation, and not far from Ditchling Beacon itself at the top of the hill there, the highest point in this area. On the same night that this formation appeared, a second formation appeared back down near the one from the previous year. Again, another flowing arm of rings this time, next to a couple of circles, one of which was ringed. Now again, as we said, that's not how we would see the formations. We would see them standing from the edge of the road, which goes here from the A27 to ditchling beacon, and the formation would look like that on the side of the hill. If you'd have waited for a couple of years, a second formation appeared, very similar place on the same hill. Let's take a better look at that as we swing around this beautiful flower of life, so that over now a period of 3 summers we've got 3 beautiful formations very close to each other. Staying in 2003, a couple of weeks later, a ringed circle appeared to the top of the field, very reminiscent of the formations from 10 years previously. As we zoom round, you'll notice that Google Earth itself has now brought in a formation here, which is actually from May 2004 and happened to be in the oilseed rape field when the satellite flew over and took the photographs. So we can see really perfectly what that formation looked like. And what we'll do is we'll put the shadow diagram on it, because as we travel through time it will actually disappear. But let's now go back to the view from the road that we had of these 2 formations, which aren't very far away, only a few hundred meters. And if we'd have waited around for another year to 2004, in fact we'd have seen another formation appear on this field. Now you can see it's quite difficult here to make out what's happening in this field. So if we swing around and up, then we'll be able to see how now this complicated grouping of 3 formations looks. This triangular triplet actually mutated the following night. These circles became larger and this part filled in. And in fact, if we colour it in blue, then we can clearly see now the difference between these 3 formations, which is quite amazing. And that's where the story ends at the moment in Patcham, over this extended period of time from as early as the beginning of the 1970s all the way through to 2004 in this area just north of Patcham, just north of what's now the A27, and here we can see the extra formations brought in, and we go back to how we started, and that's how they would have looked had they all been there at the same time.